Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight we're doing a career retrospective. We are going to look at the band New England. They put out 3 albums: New England, Explorer Suite, and Walking Wild. I've got Rand Kelly here tonight. We're going to take a look at these, so without any further ado, let's go. Rand Kelly, how are you tonight? Nice to see you.
Good.
Are you ready to talk some New England?
I am.
I figured you might because, well, based on my knowledge, you came up. Look at you with the props. I have many more props here too.
I am the prop king.
Rand came up with this topic, so we're just kind of we're just going to kind of go with it. But let me start out here a little bit of an intro. If anybody remembers back in the day, like there's a buddy of mine, Mike Lawson, who went to high school with me. He said this, we're talking back in Marion, Ohio, back in the early 80s. He said that he played this album nonstop. I don't recollect anybody playing this record back in the day. I knew it was around, but did I play it? I did not. So Rand came up with the topic, and I climbed up on board. So I'm just going to throw out some stuff. Here's like the 3rd album, which is great. Here's the 2nd album. This is on Rock Candy. The thing is that the 1st album came out on Elektra. Or did it? Wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. It came out on Infinity. The 2nd album came out on Elektra. They were all over as far as labels go. But they were basically American rock band known for their first hit single, Don't Ever Want to Lose You. It had a lot of radio airplay. It reached number 40 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart in 79. They had a follow-up, Hello, Hello, Hello. That received some airplay, but New England described their sound as power, melodic, orchestrated, song-oriented rock, which is probably a good... Is that pop?
That's pomp. P-O-M-P.
Pomp, okay.
Comes from pompous.
I get it, but the thing is, when you think about this, I cannot classify this band in a certain genre. They encompass so much. You know what I mean, Rand? It's like there's a little bit of prog, there's pop, there's some,
there's heavy metal. I mean, Shoot sounds, I told you today, Shoot sounds like Deep Purple. I thought that the minute I heard it.
Ernesto, what is happening? How are you? Oh, DC Tune Time. New England reminded me a bit of a poppier Angel.
There you go. They were pumped too.
Yeah, I agree with that. In fact, I did a show on the band. I'm having a brain crisis. I did one of my recent interviews. We did a band called God, I hate it when I forget. Forget it. I can't. I'm brain problem. Rand.
Sweet.
We did do a Sweet, but you could throw a little bit of Sweet in here as well.
Sweet's pomp. They can be pomp. They were like pomp, glam, rock, pop. They did it all.
They did it all. So let's talk a little bit about that first album. Now they released 4 albums, like I said. Randy, I'm going to turn it over to you. Do you want to talk a little bit about first album?
The 4th one was which one?
The first one.
You said they released 4 albums.
No, they released 3. Oh, well, you could talk about that one. Would that even be considered a 4th album? I'm just saying.
Well, you know how people are with live albums, but this is pretty rare. I mean, I don't know a whole lot of people that have this.
We'll talk a little bit about that.
Okay. And also where they are now and stuff like that later on.
Right.
Okay.
So anyway,
We're just winging it.
You know what? If you've ever seen this channel, we wing a lot of shit on
One of my wings is gone, actually.
Yeah, Rand is falling apart. So this band was pretty much formed in Boston. They were discovered by the Kiss manager Bill Aucoin, and on that first album, Paul Stanley produced that with Mike Stone. And if anybody knows the whole thing with Paul Stanley, he was very influenced by Slade, the Raspberries. And if you listen to New England, you can hear a lot of that in that band. I think. What do you think, Rand?
Well, it's funny. You mentioned Mike Stone. Who's the producer of the first Asia album? This anniversary is today.
Mike
41
Stone.
years.
Yep. But Mike Stone,
right?
Yeah, Mike Stone did a lot of work with Queen too.
And I was listening to the Explorer Suite album, which is the second one today, and also Walking Wild.
Yeah.
And on the second album, I heard 3 songs that could have been Asia tunes.
Well, you think about it. Explorer Suite came out in 81.
3 years before Asia, right?
Well,
actually, Explorer Suite was 80. So
that's 81. That's 81.
Years. Explorer Suite? I think it's 80.
I think it's 81.
Walking Wild's 81.
Oh boy, we're having a disagreement.
Wait a minute. I could be wrong. I don't mind being wrong.
I don't know. Hey, kids, this is what's so great about a live show. You
mine
just kind of wing it.
1980 Elektra Records right here.
Is that
the one with the little boy on the front? It's 1980. Because there's even a song called "Living in the '80s."
All right. Well, I should never doubt you, Rand. I've learned my lesson. So anyway, do you want to talk about that first record a little bit for us?
Yeah, sure. I remember we heard I was working at a theater in Eureka, California as a janitor, and we would hear singles and stuff all the time, and they played everything on this radio station. It wasn't even FM, it was AM radio. And they played it might have been FM actually. Well, anyway, they played Don't Ever Want to Lose You, and it was like, who in the hell is that? So we call him up and he goes, oh, that's a new band called New England. So naturally I went out and bought the 45, and the B-side was Shoot. Well, when I heard Shoot, it was so different than Don't Ever Want to Lose You. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the Don't Ever Want to Lose You, it's in that straight ahead rock kind of pop, but it's heavy. They're kind of a heavy band. I mean, the opening guitar from John Fannin, the guitar player, and main singer, writer, I guess. His tone on that Les Paul is phenomenal. It just has a sound. It's very dry. He hits the chord and there's no echo at all. And it's so he can change the chords one after another and they don't bleed over into each other. That really is the beginning of the song. And it's just so powerful and so driving. And then it's just got a 8th note drum beat, like dun 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 dun, dun the whole song is like that. It is a good driving song, and it seems like it's a song about him worried about his wife making it home in a storm. Actually, I ended up seeing the video on MTV, which wouldn't come out for 3 years. MTV got released in 1981. And so they had that video laying around because all these bands had made promotional videos.
Well, it's like the Buggles. It took a couple of years for that video to even make an appearance.
Right, and that was the first video they played on TV. But so I was just laying around as I was working graveyard at the time, and I would watch a lot of MTV. And all of a sudden, New England comes up with "Don't Ever Want to Lose You," and my jaw just drops. Are you kidding me? Because they, by then they'd already been forgotten about. This is one of those bands where I keep trying to tell people there are groups that were so talented they couldn't make it in the music business.
Well, if you think about it, I just if you go like on some of the reviews, most people gave like that first album like 3 stars, 2 stars.
Yeah.
But I listen to it now, and maybe back then in 1979, 80, that was a little bit run of the mill. But I think if you look at it now, it seems to be very fresh. And well,
Yeah.
all I'm going to say, at least on the first album, because we're not talking about the rest of them yet,
Right.
great background vocals, great production, great songwriting, catchy songs. Is it prog? Is it pop? Is it rock? It encompassed. That's the same one I've got. That the Japanese MCA.
Yeah, Infinity got bought out by MCA,
and that's kind of doomed their career to some degree. But what I'm saying is that first album, at least with what we're looking at, very fresh, and I don't think there's really anything that sounds like it from that era in 1979. What are your thoughts on that?
No, not in that area, not in that year. It seems like they came out in a weird year. I mean, well, first thing I want to say is you're talking about the pros.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to mention a con that really is important.
Go ahead.
Gary Shea's bass is almost non-audible. It's barely there. You can hear the notes moving around, but there's absolutely no impact from it at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought Paul Stanley should never go near a mixing board because he's the reason that happened.
Yeah, but did he mix it or did Mike Stone mix it?
Well, I don't know, man. It's just produced by, I don't know what produced means. I mean, engineer, to me, the engineer would be more important than the producer. That's the way I look at it. But I don't know. Paul Stanley and Mike Stone together should have said Gary Shea should have said, hey, I can't even hear my bass. But those guys were, they were new to the business and stuff, and they were probably just, like ecstatic that they had gotten that far. And then all the problems that happened with this band are just monumental, I think. And kind of like King's X. Again, so good, and yet nobody knows about them. I mean, you could go down the street and you could be wearing a New England t-shirt. In fact, the original LP had this really nice little logo on the inner sleeve thing.
Yeah.
The slide out deal.
Yeah.
Which I got rid of my LP for some reason. I wasn't thinking and sold it. But yeah, it's like a black background with like
the logo on it.
With the logo, with the New England logo.
Well, I've got it, but I'd have to pull it out again. But
I don't even know if they put it in this little. Let me see if I'm just curious to see if the Japanese CD put that in there. But anyways, they were destined, I think, to be great just because of the talent. But something went wrong with this band, and I'm not sure what it was. Yeah, this is the logo right here. I think I should. It was on the live album too, but it looked really cool as far as the color and stuff. But I think the big con is that Gary Shea on bass is he's not there. He's just, I mean, like I said, you can hear it, but it doesn't have an impact like a bass guitar should.
Right.
It's really
weird. I didn't notice that so much. I'm gonna have to re-listen to it and see. But I guess I'm kind of used to it. What is that?
There you go. American and Canadian. I'm sorry. American and Canadian hard.
That's what it is, right?
What does that mean?
I don't know. Those Japanese guys that are doing those liner notes, who knows?
Yeah, and then they put the lyrics in that you need a microscope. I mean, a magnifying glass to read.
So, Rand, if you look at this first album, how would you rate this record? I mean, let's say someone's not familiar with New England and they are looking to get into it. What would you...
What's the scale? 1 to 10?
I used to be 1 to 5, but now I've conformed to everybody else. So I'll do 1 to 10. What the hell?
Okay. Well, I give it a 9.5. And the reason it's not a 10 is because the bass isn't very hearable. But every song is a freaking masterpiece. I mean, this is one of those debuts that comes out and musicians, I think, because I'm a musician. I started in 1965. So I just think every song's perfect. There's not a what do you call it? A clunker.
Right.
There's not a clunker in the entire catalog.
Well,
These guys know how to write.
Well, let me say this. Okay, if anybody's following my channel, the whole thing is I want to give these bands that don't get much attention. I think New England qualifies in that category. So let's think back. Like I said, Rand, I remember when this was out.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't pay much attention to it. I was listening to Rush, the Beatles, blah, blah, blah. And like I said, Mike Lawson, a buddy of mine, he was all into it. He said he would play this record nonstop.
Yeah, well, me too. I mean, when I first bought it, I couldn't get it off the turntable for weeks.
So, but this only went to 50 on the Billboard Top 200. Why? What you think it was timing? What are your thoughts on that?
Well,
you would think this would be would have taken off. Was it marketing?
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think I was. Well, first of all, nobody knew who Infinity Records was, and so probably the radio stations at the time probably weren't like in a hurry to go grab it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But somehow we heard, like I said, we heard "Don't Ever Want to Lose You" on the radio. I bought the 45. I turned it over on the B side, and Shoot is killer. I mean, Shoot is like a Deep Purple song from 1972. It's just so good. Mm-hmm. And I just love the way it starts because it's just absolute like da na 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 da na 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 na, and then they do it again, and then they go dun 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 dun, and then you're off and running. And it's a great song. The vocals are killer. The guitar solos are killer. I mean, like I said, again, every tune on this album is really good. The vocals, Beach Boys types harmonies. They remind me of Klaatu. That's another band that we could talk about some other time. But these vocals keep coming in from in the background at times where you don't expect them. And the Beatles did that too. You never knew what those backup vocals were going to do. And the lead singer, John Fannin, he's just got a cool voice. I don't know how to describe it. It's a little raspy, but very melodic. He doesn't get real high because if anybody has to go high, the drummer, Hirsch Gardner, he'll take care of that. He'll do those vocals. Mm-hmm. He can hit astronomical. He's like Pete Cetera in Chicago. He can hit the
right. He can hit those. And we should mention that he did like a solo album. He did 2 solo albums, which we were talking a little bit before we went live.
Yeah.
You were mentioning they're just absolutely killer.
I don't own them. I've listened to them online.
Right.
But you know what? They're not on Spotify and they're not on Amazon. And the only way you can find those is to go to YouTube and see if somebody put the album up. I wish I knew how to do that. But anyways,
it's okay.
It's he's a great singer and he's a great drummer. Mm-hmm. Real powerful drummer.
Well, DC said, okay, real quick before we go on. DC Tune Time said more potential New England or Stars. I know my answer except for one track. I'm going to say New England rather than Stars. Stars, if you're talking about Cherry Baby, which is one of my all-time favorite 70s songs, well, you got me. But I think New England probably had stronger material than Stars. A lot more commercial potential, I think. Nothing against Stars. I've got all that stuff too, but New England really had something, you know.
I'm ashamed to admit that I don't know anything about Stars.
It's all right.
I've never even listened to them, I don't think.
Ernesto says Stars. Look at this. DC, I would say Stars too, but both should have been huge. I agree. But the song Cherry Baby by Stars, which sounds nothing like anything else that they did, is a power pop classic as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
But you can look at New England too. There's a lot of power pop in New England too.
Loaded.
In fact, we were talking about this earlier. I don't even know I could not tell you where to even what category to put this band in. You've got power pop, you've got prog, you've got rock, you've got God knows what else, but plenty of different genres.
I just think that genre back then, they were actually using the term in the late 70s and the early 80s. I used to buy this magazine out of England called Kerrang.
Yeah, I remember Kerrang.
I got tons of them dating all the way back to the 80s. And there was this guy named Mick Wall who loved Pomp. And he talked about all these different bands that had this
Mick Wall. Yeah.
There's a wall of noise with a lot of keyboards in the background. Asia was the perfect example. I think New England is actually the blueprint for Asia. And nobody mentioned it or talked or thought of it, not even me, until today. When I was listening to this album, the second album, Explorer Suite.
Yeah.
There's tunes on here. There's It's Never Too Late. Explorer Suite, the title cut, is just phenomenal. It's like Asia, Electric Light Orchestra, real serious in the minor key. You know what I mean? There's so many good songs on here, and so many good songs on the first one, and so many good songs on the third one. This is what they look like, by the way. Back then.
And that's a good segue. We might as well just start talking about that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Wait a minute. Yeah. Gary Shea, bass player, and Jimmy Waldo, keyboard player. They ended up
going to Alcatraz.
Ingve Malmsteen in Alcatraz.
Yeah.
And they stayed in every Alcatraz incarnation. And according to Pete, Alcatraz is still putting out albums, and Gary Shea and Jimmy Waldo are still there. So it's amazing that they've kept that friendship and stuff. Where the other two guys have just been kind of like, where are they now? We don't know. I mean, John Fannin, I found one album by him on Discogs today, and it's an Oh No bootleg where you can't buy it. So, I mean, I can't believe this guy is full of talent, plays great guitar, great singer, and yet he just stopped. I think I heard a rumor once where his wife died in a car crash.
Oh, possibly.
Which sounds like the Don't Ever Want to Lose You song, but it happened years after that. That could have just affected him, and when he just now, if I'm wrong, I apologize to anybody, even if by whatever chance John Fannin might see this. But I really do like him. I'm a big fan of John Fannin. I mean, if you were going to think about the importance of it, I think he's the Brian Wilson of New England.
Holy crap, Rand! That's a pretty strong statement.
Well, the composer. I just mean the word composer.
Right, I know what you're saying.
He seems like he's the main songwriter, though. I mean, I never looked at all the credits and stuff, but my God! And then Hirsch Gardner, he just sings. He sings. I forgot the titles today of what he sang, but man, that guy can hit some high notes. I mean, just real strong.
Well, Ernesto had a good point. He said they didn't really play that much New England on LA rock radio.
Well, probably not, yeah.
But back in the day, Rand, because you were in California, did you hear much of that on the radio at all?
No, we only heard Don't Ever Want to Lose You, and they were gone.
Almost like a one-hit wonder.
It happened, I think it happened for about, we would call up the radio station, can you play the New England tune? And all of a sudden, oh, we don't have that anymore. It was like they just wouldn't play it, or times changed or whatever. But the next two albums didn't have singles, so they didn't go anywhere.
DC has a good point. He said if Rundgren was brought in on the first album instead of number 3, if their trajectory would have been better.
Probably. I agree with that.
Well, what do you think? Well, I know we're not talking about the third record, but we're keeping it loose. We're talking.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what order we're talking in. What is your thoughts on that? Because when I listen to that third record, I don't see that as being any more commercial than the first record.
Well,
it's just different. It's a little bit harder.
Okay, but producers aren't writing songs. They're just doing what the band's asking them to do. And they let Todd Rundgren play a lead guitar solo on Walking Wild, but I can't remember the title. Which one he plays on? Is it I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's Don't Ever Let Me Go.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Let me look it up real quick while we're.
It's all right.
Go ahead and entertain the folks.
I'll entertain the people. But like I'm saying, I mean, I don't, me personally, DC, I don't see that third album being any more commercial than the first album. The thing that I do notice on all three releases is that the vocals are just stunning on all of them. Are the songs stronger on the first one? They might be a little bit more catchy, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't think that takes away anything from the other three records. But I don't know. Ernesto says that Jimmy Waldo's good. Yes, he's great.
He's a good keyboard player.
You listen to any of that. You listen to any of that stuff on the Alcatraz record. He's top notch. All right. DC says the first. All right. First pop rock album. Second proggy. What is this group? By the third, people may have lost interest. Well, I think a lot of that has to do with timing because 79, who was doing prog then? Prog was pretty much dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
But by 81, he had Asia came out in 82, right? Help me, Rand. All right. And that was like prog. That Asia was like prog light.
Asia were prog musicians who didn't want to play prog.
Right. But they still had a lot of prog tendencies.
There were a lot of prog fans that were disappointed when they heard Heat of the Moment. I remember me being one of them. I'm going, what? Right. Where are the prog tunes? And right at the end, they go, really fast. And I'm going, that's what they should be doing. But none of that happened during the whole album.
All I'm going to say is thank God DC's here because he did not lose interest in the band.
Good for him.
But he thinks there were slightly catchier songs on the first album, which I agree 100%. I think as they went forward, they got a little bit more experimental. Because that second album, I don't know if I want to say it's total prog, but they're stretching their legs a little bit more on that one. You know what I mean?
The title cut, Explorer Suite, is as proggy as that band got.
I agree.
And their part, the part I like the most in that, you're not going to believe it.
Go ahead.
It's Jimmy Waldo's when he's singing the lead, when John Fannon's singing the verse.
Yep.
After a couple of verses, and then all of a sudden you hear this really high, squeaky little synth going.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's my favorite part of the whole song. I love that.
Well. But the first album really didn't do very well. Like I said, it got to what? 50? Explorer Suite in 1980, I don't even think charted.
I don't think, again, like King's X, I don't think they were marketed well. They got picked up by big labels because Elektra, face it, is Warner Brothers.
Right.
And I just don't think they were marketed very well. They weren't marketed like Boston.
Well, you would think they were on the original Infinity before. They got sucked into Elektra, Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
But you would have thought they would have pumped some money into the band to promote them more but I don't think they did because obviously the second album didn't chart.
Well, they toured because my partner in crime at the movie theater went and saw them live while I had to work, and I wanted to go. I got screwed, but anyways, he went down to San Francisco and saw them, and they did one tour in the Bay Area, and he went, and it was 1980.
Ernesto made a mistake. Yeah, Jimmy was the keyboardist. Yep, sometimes Ernesto gets confused, and we have to shake him a bit to get him back on track.
Let's tell everybody the personnel then. John Fannin, lead guitar, vocals, lead vocals, guitar. Only had one guitar player. Gary Shea, bass, vocals. I think they all sang. Jimmy Waldo.
Yeah, I think so.
Keyboards and incredible high vocals, and the drummer Hirsch Gardner. Oh no, I already talked about him. Who was the one I left out? Jimmy Waldo keyboards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
maybe that's all right.
So that's half of New England ends up in Alcatraz in 1983 with Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say about Alcatraz, I'm so glad Yngwie left, and then they brought in Steve Vai.
You know, I've never heard that.
I think Disturbing the Peace is a much better record.
I've never heard that record. I've always wanted to listen
I've
to it.
got a Japanese CD, Japanese import.
Right. And then there was a third one with a guy named Danny Johnson.
Yeah, it has like the panther on the cover. I've never heard it. But I was
can't
like
even remember the name of it.
I was like a big Steve Vai fan. I thought Steve Vai was brilliant. Well, he is brilliant. Still is. Yeah, great guitar player. Hey, DC, you were in Ohio for the first album, and you said no one played it on the air. I read a review saying Stanley produced it, and the description got me to buy it. Yeah, but I could see why Paul Stanley produced it. I mean, there's a lot of elements that they really, think about Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley.
Yeah.
They like the Raspberries. They like Slade. They like a lot of that type of British invasion stuff. Even though that's a little bit later, but if you listen to New England, Rand, you have to agree with me. They sound very British. They could have easily been a British band.
Well, that's what I said. They sound like the blueprint for Asia.
Right.
And it's almost like the industry saw something coming and they thought, well, this is going to die because punk is dying in 79 and new wave is getting ready to just take the world by storm. You're going to get Blondie. You're going to get Ultravox.
Talking Heads, all
Pet
that.
Shop Boys. You're going to get Duran Duran. All these groups are coming. And New England didn't have a prayer. I just think if they would have started, excuse me, if they would have started
you're good.
76,
right.
75, 76 when Boston did, I think New England would have been huge.
Well, timing's everything.
Timing is everything.
And I think they missed the boat, even though there are a lot of people that like this stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's great. I think a lot of it, maybe it was timing, but Rolling Stone never gave these guys very good reviews.
I don't think anybody did.
But I think it stands up a lot better now than it does then. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think music, I think good music is timeless and you can't date it. And I think music that you can date and say, oh, that sounds like that. It's not that it's bad. It's just dateable. But I don't think these guys are dated. I mean, like I said, Boston, Foreigner, Styx, New England, it all could have been in the same package. They could have toured together, all those bands at once on a big tour. And I think New England would have been huge. But I think they were one of those bands that came out at the wrong time. Great group. Nobody gave a crap.
Timing's everything.
Timing is everything.
DC said Stanley is all over it. Stanley is the more catchy songwriter in Kiss. That I don't agree with because
what is Mike Stone doing? I mean, he's a big producer, but I never heard of him before New England. Have you?
Yeah. He did April Wine. He did the Queen albums. He did Day at the Races. He did News of the World.
Wait. Day of the Races. That's Roy Thomas Baker.
No. It's not self-produced by Queen, but Mike Stone recorded it. Same with Day at the Race. Same with News of the World. Neither one of those are Roy Thomas
Baker. News of the World. Oh.
Queen produced it with Mike Stone.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, quote me. I mean, if I'm wrong, someone call me out, but I'm pretty.
But I thought Queen had the same producer until they did the game. But I could be wrong.
Nope. Roy Thomas Baker came back for jazz.
That's right. Yeah. I like that, by the way.
Well, I love jazz. But DC said Stanley is all over it. Stanley is one of the more catchy songwriters in Kiss, and I don't agree with that 100%. If you heard, look, DC, do you think, I'm not saying, okay, let me just clarify myself. If you listen to the Gene Simmons solo album, there's some really catchy Raspberries kind of stuff there. In fact, there's a lot of Beatlesque stuff on Gene's record. Both of these gentlemen were very big Beatles fans, Raspberries fans. They like the power pop thing. They go hand in hand. I don't know if Paul's stuff is more catchy than Gene's. I don't care. But they're both very influenced by the same bands. Yeah.
I'm not much.
New England tied to Kiss. Yeah, Brian, because Paul Stanley produced the first album.
Right. And who's responsible for the lack of bass on it?
I would say Paul Stanley. He was the producer.
It might have been like he's so sick of Kiss bass and Gene Simmons. He thought, well, good, I've got an opportunity to turn the bass down. We always thought about that. Like, it's like, as soon as me and my friend Bill, God rest his soul, as soon as we listened to this, it was like, where's the bass? Why does this album have no bass? But you have to turn the bass knob up on your amplifier.
I've listened to the Japanese CD, and I don't.
Oh, it sounds pretty good.
Yeah,
I gotta admit but that's like, maybe that's an MCA remaster.
Well, I haven't heard. It came out on Rock Candy too, right?
Don't know.
Well, I haven't heard that.
See, I bought my Japanese MCA 1990.
Of course you did, Rand. Of course you did.
And it was about $27. It wasn't cheap.
I got mine a lot cheaper.
But I was glad to get it because, I've been played this. I played that LP to death. I mean, it was almost like worn out, But I just can't. I can't find any fault with that first album. Every song and the last three roll together like a theme.
Right. So, what are your thoughts? Live. Well, we know that the first album's a classic. What are your thoughts on the second record before we jump into the third?
Explorer's Suite. Yeah.
It's a lot more proggy, I would agree. It's more of a, I don't know if I could classify it as a concept album.
I hate this thing. I don't know why they did this. I can't pull it off. And it's stuck. They could have put it on the plastic, but
yeah, but don't forget these are CDs are from the UK.
Rock Candy's weird. They do weird things.
Yeah, they're a UK company, so it's just
weird. Yeah. And the Walking Wild I got is from Japan. It's got a big booklet inside.
Mine is not. Mine's domestic.
So I think maybe they tried to release a single off this, and I think it was called, I'm not sure now. Do you see a single? Do you see
second record?
Yeah, can you look up stuff? I think maybe the single might have been Living in the 80s or Searching.
Well, okay. 79, you had Don't Ever Want to Lose You. September of 79 was Hello, 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 and Encore for the flip side. That reached 69 on the chart. 1979, Punk and Shoot.
Oh, Punk, it stands for Puny Undernourished Kid, if anybody.
And then 1980 was DDT and Elevator. Neither one of those charted. And, well, they were doomed.
Explorer's Suite didn't have any singles?
Probably not.
Strange. Now, see, right on the back of this, Rock Candy says, this is interesting. I can barely read it because it's small print, but it says, I won't read the whole thing. I'll just read this.
Well, no, hello. Wait a minute. You're talking Explorer Suite.
Did they get a 45 out on that one?
I don't see any singles released off the second album, which I find odd, but whatever.
It's Never Too Late is so I just listened to that today. And I said to myself, if I close my eyes and you replace John Fannin with John Wetton, you've got an Asia song. But listen to this point.
I think you're right. I think it's very Asia esque.
Yeah, 2 years earlier. But listen to this. Reference points on New England include Styx, Electric Light Orchestra, The Cars, Cheap Trick, and as previously mentioned, the Beatles.
But I can see all that in there.
Yeah. And I wrote most of those today too. Crammed full of incredibly energetic songs such as Living in the 80s, Money Honey, Searching, and Hey You're on the Run, which is really great. New England's penchant for melody and obviously second to none. Truly one of the most talented groups of their time. I agree with all that. But what happened?
I agree, but that's not the sentiment from 1981 or 82. They just didn't pay. They didn't care about this band then. They were doomed.
They were doomed.
Yeah. Like I said, I think.
Look what Genesis did that same year, 1980. Duke.
Which is a great record.
Great record. And there's prog on it too.
Yeah, but you still have those people that say, "Oh my God, the Peter Gabriel, he left. They're horrible," which is not the case.
Oh, you don't want to get me started on that.
Well, me personally, without Peter Gabriel, I think they were much stronger.
Well, I saw the Lamb from my first Genesis concert, so I'm a little. What do you call
jaded?
Jaded. Biased.
I mean, it's fine. Biased, maybe.
I don't want to get into a bunch of Genesis talk right now.
Right, we're not.
But seriously, Peter Gabriel has become my favorite singer.
So anyway, if you were going to rate the second album compared to the first one, you gave what? The first album like a 9.5. What would you rate the second album?
Oh my God. It's so good. There's parts of it that are just absolutely stunning.
Well, do you like it more because it's more of a prog record?
You know what?
It's not that much proggier. I'll give you that.
It's got bass on it. You can hear Gary's bass.
Well, then if you can hear Gary's bass, then... here we go. Ernesto said look, Ernesto said all music gave it 2.5 stars.
I'll give it 10.
So the second album, there's no sophomore slump. You agree that that's a better record?
Well, it's better because you can hear bass and it's got a prog song on it. So yeah, I think it kind of like elevates it a little bit.
All right, that's fair enough. To be honest, I like all these records equally. They all have a little bit different to offer. I may give the props to the first album because it's so accessible. Second album's not quite as accessible, but it's a bit more adventurous. It's a bit more proggy if that's what you like. But still, the second record, the songwriting's there, the vocals are there, the arrangements are there. I really can't critique it. It's just different than the first one, but not that much. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
So let's look at that third album. Now, the third record, let me pop it up.
Weird looking cover. I always wondered what that glowing thing is. Is there a bonfire back there?
Yeah, that's a fire. That's them burning New England albums. That's what that is.
They're burning Boston records.
That's probably what they're doing, or Beatle
so
records.
They're from Boston.
The two.
The Cars are from Boston.
Right.
Amazing.
So this record, where's my prop?
I got it.
You've got DDT and Elevators a single. I'm assuming that's what that's off of.
DDT is Dream a Dirty Dream Tonight.
All right. So they had a single. It did not chart from this record. This was like their last hurrah to some degree. I think this record's great. I don't know the story with bringing Todd Rundgren on. But if you listen to this, Rand, think about this. even though he's producing this,
I thought you meant why he's playing guitar on it.
Well, yeah, but I don't hear that Todd Rundgren stamp. You know?
You mean like
his production stamp, where you could go, listen to Cheap Trick, next position, please. You can hear Todd Rundgren all over that.
The Tubes remote control.
Tubes remote control. You can tell that Todd Rundgren had his hand in it. This one, I do not find that on this record.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, they all sound the same to me, except the first one hasn't got enough bass. You know what I mean?
Right.
And sounding the same for a band that's as excellent as New England is not a drawback.
No, but did you think that you say they sound the same. Do you feel that the band grew, though, by the time
when I say that, I'm talking about composition and performance more so than the production. I understand that there's a difference between who did Explore Suite? Was that Mike Stone?
No, Todd Rundgren did it. Oh, Explorer Suite was totally Mike Stone. Sorry.
Okay, so there's a difference between Paul Stanley and Mike Stone.
Right.
Mike Stone and Todd Rundgren.
Right.
In production, but I don't pay a whole lot of attention to production. I mean, I love like Dark Side of the Moon because it sounds perfect, but I always judge when I judge music. I judge the performance of the band and the composition, and then the production. Production's always last for me. In fact, I was talking to you today in private about what about albums that may have been produced like crap that are just incredibly good.
Well, it also depends upon what you think's crap and what's not crap.
Well, just awful sound. I mean, somebody that just didn't know what they were doing. Tormato is the perfect example.
Yeah, but I don't think Tormato sounds all that bad because it still sounds like Yes.
No, I mean,
it might be a little muddy. Maybe
yes,
it could. Well, maybe it needs to be remixed. I'm sure it sounds good there somewhere.
Oh yeah, it needs all kinds of work because.
Well, think about this, Rand.
The tones are just weird.
The Pink Floyd Animals remix that they just put out.
Yeah,
I think I think that was mixed in 2018, but
I'm
sure they are going back and forth. But that remix opened that whole recording right up. It's not dark like it was. So maybe this stuff could, normally I don't want to rewrite history. I'm not a remix guy, but if you look at Pink Floyd Animals and how dark and murky it sounded, that new remix just opens it right up,
Yeah, and I bought it for the 5.1 and it sounds incredible.
Yeah, you wouldn't have thought when you listen to that original record or the CD that this would have sounded as good as it does. So I'm thinking, New England, I don't know, maybe remix it a bit. I don't know. That first album you could remix that first album, give it some bass. I'm just throwing it out there.
Oh, you could just re-record the bass. I don't know why Gary Shea just didn't go back in the studio, re-record the bass and slap it on there. They could have done that too.
Oh, I'm sure it's there. It's just down in the mix.
He's a great bass player.
Right.
And they could have, with digital recording, they could have done anything. They can do anything today.
So if we look at this third record, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the Todd Rundgren production? What are your thoughts on the songwriting and song selection and, basically everything? How does this record fit in with the other two? Because you've given the first one, a 9.5, the second one a 10.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you rate this one?
It's in the 9s. I mean, I'd probably go 9.5 for this one too, because every song is good. There's not a clunker on any of these albums. I said that right in the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And I love L5. That's a really cool song. It's about going to live on a space station.
Who doesn't want to live on a space station?
Yeah, and it kind of sounds like Space Station number 5 from Montreux.
I knew you were going to say that. I just knew you were going to say that.
It's another great sounding album. Ted Templeton killed on that. Right. But, these songs are good. Walking Wild, the title cut. Holding Out on Me, Don't Ever Let Me Go, Love's Up in the Air. I love that one. Really cool. I imagine myself in a balloon and just lifting off the ground very slowly. And they sing Get It Up. But it's called Love's Up in the Air. Oh no, that's the wrong song. Excuse me. Love's Up in the Air is a different song. Excuse me. DDT is DDT. Everybody looked at that and went, "What a weird title for a song!" But it's Dream a Dirty Dream Tonight. They just didn't want to write that out.
Well, you can't blame them.
Get It Up is the one that sounds like the balloon lifting off the ground. It's just cool. L5. I'm on my way to L5. It's just so good. I mean, in a way, they do sound a lot like Cheap Trick, but with a shitload of keyboards.
Right. Well, like I said before, they have a lot of different influences.
Yeah.
They are totally unique within themselves.
Elevator's really cool, but because it goes elevator, and then Jimmy Walter goes down. It's just perfect. It's just cool.
Yeah.
So we got through those, and if anybody wants to know about that.
So you would rate that third album what, a 9.5?
I give it a 9.5.
All right, that's fair.
I think Explorer Suite just pinches out both of them a little bit in every way. The sound, because Mike Stone's by himself, doing a great job. You could tell he's prepping for Asia, but he doesn't know it exists yet. You know what I mean? He's going to be good. Because the Asia album sounds incredible. That first one is just, Mike Stone's, I think that's Mike Stone's best production ever, is that first album. So, yeah, I mean, if he's getting his training with New England 2 years before, excellent.
So, Ernesto, what did they not like about Todd's production? Elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, I'd like to hear this.
Because when I listened to his production, I think that record's a little bit harder, a little bit more up front. It's not, it's not, what do I want to say? Crap. It's not as prog, not quite as poppy. It's more rockin' of a record. But I don't know if that has anything to do with Todd. I'm just curious what they didn't like about Todd's production. His style. Okay. I don't detect anything. Me personally, I think the record sounds fine. I don't know. Rand, what do you think?
Well, we used to have a joke when Todd Rundgren decided to produce an album. The band hit hard times. Like Grand Funk Railroad. Right after the last Todd Rundgren production, Shining On, they ended up putting out All the Girls in the World Beware, and then Frank Zappa took him on, and he made him sound pretty good, and then they sort of just fizzled away. What's Funk? Born to Die and What's Funk are just awful.
They're awful. I've never heard them. I'm not a big Grand Funk guy. I never got them.
No, I love them, but it just seems like Todd is able to bring, like he did the same thing happened with the Tubes. He did Remote Control and Love Bomb.
Right.
And then he was gone, and I think David Foster did Outside Inside. You've got the poster behind you.
Right. Well, Love Bomb was the last record. So it was it was Pleasure Principle. Wait a minute, that might be.
Wait. Love Bomb came after that
was the last Tubes record.
It's not the Pleasure Principle.
I was thinking Gary Newman.
It's called something else. I can't think of it right now.
Pleasure Principle. Isn't that Gary Newman? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm going to call it Pleasure Principle. And then it went Outside Inside, and then Love Bomb.
So Love Bomb came out after.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It came out in '85. Yeah, that's right.
Right.
The last two albums I got was called Genius of America.
Oh, here we go. DC says, Todd made Grand Funk sound like they were from outer space on Shining On.
Yeah, right. When he did, and also Locomotion.
Outer Space.
Well, when Mark Farner would play a solo, like in Locomotion, he's just playing this lead, and all of a sudden Todd turns a knob while he's playing, and it goes. It's like, you've heard that, haven't you?
Yeah, no, I've never heard that record because I can't stand Grand Funk.
Oh, so you've never heard him play Locomotion? It's actually not bad.
Yeah, I've heard it, but I don't like it.
But anyways, Todd.
Little Eva had it down. Why?
I know what he means. Did you say Ernesto said that?
No, that was DC.
Okay, I know what DC means because it does sound like it's going into it's called modulation in overload. It starts banging like that. But yeah, I don't hear anything negative from having Todd as a producer.
I don't either.
So we agree on that.
I agree because I think it's one of the least Todd sounding records I've ever heard.
Right.
I'm not sure who engineered it. Maybe it was Chris Anderson. I haven't looked. But it doesn't sound like Todd was engineering it. Maybe he was. I don't know.
Here's their extended catalog now. That's Hirsch Gardner on the bottom corner by my hand there. And then there's a rarities one called 1978, which I never did get. And then the 3 studio albums. And it's in the live.
What label is that on? What
Avalon Records.
Okay.
And they're put out by GB Music or something. I don't know. It says also available through www.gbmusic.com. All these other ones. And also they have a website called www.newenglandrock.com.
Ernesto wants to know if those are 24-bit remasters. Do you know?
I don't think any of them are remasters.
Well, several of those records never came out on CD.
Hang on a second. Rock Candy is. I don't know if they say that though. It just says remastered and reloaded. Yeah, it says fully remastered 24-bit audio. Yeah, I don't even know what that means. But
I don't know about the third one and the first one.
Well, that's the second one, and the third one doesn't say anything about remastering, I don't think, but it could be. And this one is just the regular album, 1990. It's just a Japanese.
And I think that sounds fine.
And this sounds phenomenal.
Yeah.
But all Japanese CD, I've never heard a Japanese CD that doesn't sound good.
I agree. Yep. Well, there you go. It's 7. It's almost. Well, it's 8:04. We got it started a little late, but we are at 57 minutes, and God, we're at 58 minutes.
You wanted to go about an hour.
Well, I want to go an hour, and if you go much beyond that, people
drop out,
shrivel up, and die.
I don't know what more to say about him. I mean, there's a nice picture of him live right here.
Well, the thing you can say is that we would highly recommend any of these records if you can pick them up, because, well, I think they're great. And you know what? It's just the fact, Rand, that if you hadn't brought up this topic and we hadn't done it, I probably would never, ever check them out.
Well, I was surprised you knew who they were.
Well, I knew who they were.
But then when you said, I own that, and I was like, what?
DC says, Grant, listen to the song Shine. I've heard Shining On.
Yeah.
On YouTube. You might like the. I don't know if I will or not.
Well, the only problem with that tune is the drummer singing lead. And I'd rather hear Mark Farner. I like Mark's voice better. But, oh well.
I like, what's the drummer's name again?
Don Brewer.
I like Don's voice better.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, oh my God. Listen to the.
You think Roger? You think Roger and Waters and David Gilmour have a feud going? You got to look into the Don Brewer, Mark Farner feud. Holy God! And I'm on Mark's side. I'm a Mark Farner fan.
Ernesto says the final CDs are in 16-bit. Always a 24-bit remaster refers to being newly transferred from original master recordings. Yeah, but Ernesto, it might be 16-bit, 24-bit, but I'm going to be a realist. You can't hear anything different from a 16-bit to a 24-bit.
No,
it's all about the mastering. It's all about the mastering.
I'm done. I'm not buying them again. This isn't like Yes Fragile where I have 8 copies.
You only need so much. Well, anyway, Rand, we went an hour. Let's wrap this thing up.
That was fun.
Well, we're fast on this show.
Yeah.
It's not like the old days when we do like 3-hour shows. I want to get this going.
Well, all these albums, these 3 studio albums are available everywhere. Amazon, Spotify.
Yeah, but a lot of this stuff's out of print, though.
No, but I mean, just people can listen to stuff on this.
Yeah.
I mean, Spotify's become like, I want to listen to it before I buy it kind of thing. I think you can still get these. You can probably get them on Discogs.
Ernesto said we did a good show.
Thank you.
Makes me all warm and fuzzy. And DC liked our conversation. Thanks, DC and Ernesto. I appreciate that. I mean, we're just here just shooting the shit. So,
Yeah. We're going to do some more shows, right?
Oh my God, of course. Look, there's Steve Schnee. The John Fannin solo album is really good. Not quite New England, but it gets kind of close.
The one we can't get?
The one we can't get?
I tried to buy it. I tried to look it up see if I could buy it on Discogs, and it said, "Oh no!" And when you see
Schnee may have Stephen Schnee may have like connections though. He's that way.
But yeah, I mean, there's not much more you can say. If you like all the bands that we've been talking about,
yeah,
then this is,
a no-brainer.
Oh my God, Brian's getting interviewed.
Wait a minute, Stephen Schnee, you can buy it on his website. I looked today.
Oh, cool. What's his website? JohnFannin.com?
Probably, but again, anytime you have Stephen Schnee around, it causes me to spend money. And this is probably yet another example where I'm going to spend money again.
Well, like I said, I'm done. I'm not buying this again.
Oh, it's a CDR, but it's John Fannin.
Oh, I forgot to mention, if you go into Amazon Prime, if you have the Amazon Music thing,
yeah,
they've got an entire box set of New England, 66 songs. Lots of rarities, live shows.
It's on Cherry Red or Esoteric, one of those.
The box set?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't look it up because I think that would be pretty expensive. 66 songs. That's
no, DC. I am not going to buy Shining On. Love ya. Not spending the money on that. Oh my gosh, it's a good doctor, Dr. Funkenstein, the astute, the professional. He made an appearance. Thanks, good doctor, for popping in. Still reminds me we need to do that funk show.
Bands that were too talented to be huge.
This would be New England. So they just wrote them off for some reason.
One of them.
One of them. There are many.
Man, I got a list of those.
Of course you do. Okay, here we go. Stephen Schnee. Rock Candy reissued the first album with 6 bonus tracks. Mine will show up tomorrow. Hope it sounds better than the previous CD. Well,
6 bonus tracks? I bet you those are all.
This is a Japanese import CD. I think this sounds fine.
Yeah, you got the same one I got, right?
Yeah. On MCA, I think it's all right.
I'd be willing to bet you that New England box set, and by the way, it says Volume 1 on it. 66 songs.
Yeah.
Those six bonus tracks came from those, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
Because there's they're doing tunes that didn't even make the album. There's new tunes all over that box set. I have never sat and listened to it because it's going to be a long, it kind of didn't fit this program, but I'm going to check it out.
We'll check it out. The good doctor says I got Cure tickets in Atlanta and Depeche Mode in Dallas today. The good doctor is an overachiever. There is no concert he will do whatever it takes to go to a concert.
Well, Cindy and I are going to go see Ringo Starr on June 9th in Sacramento.
That's nice. Oh, well.
I don't have a lot of concerts.
I know. Well, we're still getting over COVID. Hey,
I turned down Peter Gabriel because the 2 tickets were $500.
Yeah, but see, that's just smart. Who cares? $500, Peter Gabriel.
I told her, I said, let's just wait for the Blu-ray.
That's what I do. Give me a break.
Yeah, watch it in the room.
You guys are nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, well, Stephen Schnee. Hush Gardner, the drummer, released one song on the debut has all four England members with, yep.
Yeah, they only put one of his here. It's called Wasteland for Broken Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
But he has a second one they didn't write on here. Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough good things about this band. I mean, there's no bad New England.
I agree. And I think this is a good note to end it on because we are at 1 hour and 5 minutes. So, okay. First album, we get it a 10. Second album, we give it with 9.5. Third album, another 10. Holy crap, kids. What more do you want? If you can find these records and you like prog, you like the Beatles, you like, God knows, you like all these different bands, please check it out because that's all we're doing on this channel is just trying to throw these artists. Here we go. Look. Steven said, the greatest AOR power pop band ever. Now, this is quite a quote from Mr. Schnee because he's a power pop schnob. And if he said this is the greatest AOR power pop band ever, that's a pretty strong statement because I don't hear a lot of their stuff as being power pop, but some of it I do. And I feel like I'm going hoarse.
Well, what do people, before we leave, can you just ask, what were they trying to do with Shoot? Does Shoot fit their repertoire or did they jump the shark?
Stephen Schnee, you can answer that. What's the deal with Shoot?
Because the lyrics are really awful. I mean, they're like Hey Joe lyrics. And
Mr. Schnee probably knows because he's like an
Down by the River. You know the lyrics to Down by the River by Neil Young?
Neil Young, I love it, yeah.
You know the lyrics to Hey Joe?
Yeah.
Shoot is right down that alley. And that's dark. You muted yourself.
Well, yeah, there was noise. So DC says, take it to the bank, Schnee. Where are you, Stephen Schnee? What's your thoughts on Shoot?
Yeah, I mean, I love it, but like I said, it sounds like Deep Purple, and there's a problem with that when you have these kind of songs, and you throw a little metal tune in there, especially with those kind of lyrics. That might have turned a lot of people off.
Well, Steve doesn't talk about that in public. It's a sensitive track for him, evidently. What do I know? I'm just some guy.
Well, there goes that was like they can put it in the comment section if they want.
Yeah, put it in the comment section if you want to.
Yeah.
But either way, we're going to wrap this one up because we are at an hour and 8, and I like to do it for an hour. I think you guys get our you understand what we're saying. Both of these records, everything's above a 9.5. Highly recommended. Power pop classics. Some of it's power pop. Beatlesque, great harmonies, a lot of influences, Beach Boys. You can hear a lot in New England. Too bad they never really made it. They probably actually had more success in Alcatraz than they ever had in New England, I'm assuming. But I don't know. You know?
Oh, yeah. I definitely believe that because more people wanted to hear Yngwie Malmsteen because he was in a band called Steeler.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't very big, and he kind of like was overqualified and used them as a jumping point to get into Alcatraz.
Mm-hmm.
And how they got New England's bass player and keyboard player, I never did figure out, but the singer in that band is from Rainbow, and he's
right. Graham. Yeah, Graham's great.
Graham Bonnet. And also Pete Pardo's favorite Michael Schenker album, Assault Attack.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that too. I mean, I had that on cassette.
Well, Graham Bonnet's work. Oh, Steve said, I hear ELO in there. Yes, definitely. Yes.
A lot of ELO, yeah.
Well definitely. Played, Schnee. Well played. Yeah, I hear ELO in there too.
Explorer Suite sounds a whole lot of like Electric Light Orchestra.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yep. All right, let's wrap this one up. We recommend all three of these records. Go out and listen to them. Support the band, whatever's left of the band. God knows, I don't think they're together anymore. But these CDs or LPs are out there. I'm sure you can find at least the first New England album used for fairly cheap. The one I bought, I think I bought for $0.25.
Well, I saw them on Amazon. They're normal. They're about $20.
Oh no, that's too much. Go look in your used record stores. You can save some money. Hell, you can buy the CD cheaper than $20.
Well, let's go to Discogs or eBay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll pull out then.
All right. New England plays reunion shows every couple of years. There you go.
Sweet.
I tried to get Mr. Schnee on here, but he declined. He didn't want to come on. Shy or something.
I think that's cool that they could do that 40 years later.
I do too. It's great. All right, Rand Kelly, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, check out Rand's channel. I think I've got Rand's channel in the link. I don't know what I've got.
Rand Anthony Kelly. I haven't been making music videos lately because I hurt my arm.
Yeah, he's a bit wounded.
I'm wounded.
But check out Rand's channel, and thanks for coming on tonight. Thanks for making comments. The Good Doctor, Dr. Schnee, Dr. DC 2-time, all you doctors, I appreciate it. So we're going to let this go. We'll see ya. There's something coming on tomorrow, but now I can't. Oh, I know what we're doing. We're going to do a Vandenberg episode tomorrow with Martin Popoff and Tim Derling. We're recording that tomorrow, so that's coming.
I saw him one time live in Whitesnake.
Yeah.
Oh, aren't you going to do another band tomorrow? It seemed like it said the 16th. Maybe I'm missing.
I don't know. You know what, Rand? I can't keep track.
I saw your schedule, and I go, oh, that's cool. I'll be watching that.
All right. Well, there's always something going on.
Now I can't remember.
I can't either. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming on. Randy, have a good night. And everybody, we'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.